countries are heavily investing in renewable energy and electric vehicles like China and the European Union, while others are notably pulling back on investment. What is the state of global green energy investments, and how important is it for countries like China to undergo green transitions?
A pleasure to be here. Thanks for having me. Globally speaking, most countries are still investing very heavily in renewable and clean technology, energy technologies. But obviously, China takes the lead. China accounts for over 2/3 of global clean energy investments. So, it's undisputed leader there. But also in countries like Europe, in Africa, in Southeast Asia, even in the US, the private sector is still investing in clean tech. For countries like China, clearly green tech, green energy is very important because it serves some very important strategic purposes. Number one is, of course, China wants to improve the environment to achieve the carbon neutral, zero carbon target. Number one. Number two is, obviously, clean tech has become a very important growth engine. It's a very labor-intensive industry and also a very capital-intensive, so it can really have amplified multiplier impact on economic growth. And the third factor, third strategy, of course, is energy security. China has been very uncomfortable with its reliance on external supply of carbon, especially petroleum energy. Now we see the reason why, right? So the war clearly has exposed that strategic purpose.
And solar panels, EV batteries, other green technology are becoming cheaper, right? And has that made decarbonisation more achievable for developing countries? And who is at the forefront of trying to ensure green tech becomes even more affordable?
Well, absolutely. Clearly, Chinese products are affordable, but also more accessible. I think that's the key factor because, especially in less developed countries in Asia, in Africa, because for these people to access power, access electricity, you need to have very heavy investment in power grid, right? So so a lot of countries, they just don't have the capital, the savings to finance those kind of infrastructure development. But because of wind power, wind turbines, solar panels, they don't really need to invest heavily in power grid. So that makes actually access to electricity a lot easier. So that's why we see a lot of African imports of wind turbines, solar panels from China to solve their energy demand problem.
Yeah. And, through green finance and Belt and Road projects, China is exporting clean technology abroad. Is that accelerating climate progress in emerging markets? And can you tell us a bit more about, other countries that have made exporting clean technology a real priority?
Right. Yeah. So absolutely. As I said earlier, Chinese products are affordable, and the clean tech products, clean tech technology is easier accessible to less developed countries, to countries in a very remote area. But also some other countries are also prioritizing green tech exports. For example, Germany, Japan, Korea, even the US, right? So they specialize in different technologies. Battery technology, hydrogen, but also China is the cost leader there, right? So China obviously is the most important factor in driving down, productivity growth. Just massive scale of Chinese production make the clean tech, green tech a lot more affordable for developing countries.
Yeah, can we talk a little bit about the rising tensions over green subsidies and technology, not to mention some of the de-escalation around climate policy. How has there been a space for meaningful cooperation, not just between the US and China, but sustaining that cooperation between the US and the European Union as well?
Right. I think it's probably easier for China and the European Union to have a more cooperative framework to develop clean tech, clean energy technology. And also probably it's easier for China to develop cooperation with developing countries, global South countries. With the US, I think there's a lot of political kind of policy headwinds in the US in the current administration. So I think cooperation is probably more difficult. But in other countries, I think it's easier. But I think the broad picture is China dominates the supply chain of clean tech sectors. And I think some countries may feel uncomfortable if they would become overly dependent on Chinese technology in developing the critical energy infrastructure. So I think that could be a kind of factor that can complicate the cooperation between China and some developed countries.